Hey,
Good
Roger.
morning.
Good night. So
Oh,
it's the morning.
in night time, you're right. I just took a nap.
How's it going with you, Roger Earl?
uh, it's going great. Thank you.
Excellent.
Jason, great name. Are you in, where are you in Canada?
Yeah, Nova Scotia, Canada, East Coast.
So we're almost related then, aren't we? We're all related.
We are all related, basically.
But they're like it and all. So we have to get on with each other.
Yes,
Hold on a second.
yes. The new one.
The new one.
The new one that's number one on the blues charts.
How about that?
That's awesome.
My wife woke me up the other morning and said, "Guess what? We're number one." I said, "Can I have a cup of coffee, please, darling?" um, Actually, yeah, it's I don't know, it's pretty amazing, pretty incredible. Though I am particularly proud of this record. I think I'm proud of every record we ever made, but it's like it's just a terrific record. I think we got it right. The band was playing really well on it, so um, and I really like. I didn't really like the way we got so many different forms of music that we love on it. There was probably maybe 7 or 8 songs. We recorded this over like a 2 or 3 year period, but about 2 years ago, we actually pulled our fingers out and decided to sort of get serious and start looking at all the stuff we've done over the previous couple of years. But we have a studio down in DeLand, Florida. It's our own studio. And our resident genius, Bryan Bassett, is also a producer, an engineer, and a brilliant guitar player and slide guitar player. So um, it's kind of it's a lot of fun actually trying making music when you have your own studio. You don't have to rely on I don't know red lights or anything. We can most of the stuff is done January, February, March. We go down there, we rehearse, and we change our set around. We add 4 or 5 songs to it. But just recently, we've done 2 record release parties. We did one in New York at the Iridium Club, and we played 8 songs from the album. And 4 days later, we went to LA and we played in the Coach House there, and we did a set with another eight songs in them from the new album, and it was kind of brave, I think, going on stage and playing. Here's our new record. Thank you very much. Both shows were sold out, and the audiences were great. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a little bit of mojo in this record.
When you do go live and you start bringing new songs in, how do you do it? Like, just here's a new song, or are you just sliding them here and there between the set?
Well, what happened was, I think we in about just over 2 months ago, we played one song from the album. She's a little bit of everything, and then we added one more about a month later, and then we were playing 3, and then we had to go back down to the studio in Florida and relearn the rest of the record.
Of course.
That wasn't so hard. We had the DVD, so we just played the DVD, and we all went, yeah, I remember that now. Yes, actually, I had an absolute blast making this record and playing them live. So I talked to Scott and Brian today. We have a couple of shows coming up before the end of the year, and we're just going to keep 4 songs in the set from the new album. We were up to nearly an hour and 50 minutes with the set. We kept adding songs, and no, I don't want to take that one out. Let's put this one in. fortunately, the couple of the shows that we did, the promoters were okay. We could play as long as we want. Most of the time, it's like a set amount, like an hour and 15 minutes, something like that. So we adjust everything accordingly.
It's like that. You can't take away too much of the classics either. Because I mean,
No, 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 no. There's 6 or 7 songs we'll always play. Actually, like I said, every year, at the beginning of the year, we go down to Florida and we pick 4 or 5 songs we haven't done the previous year. I think we have a show coming up on the West Coast in Canada sometime in January. So I'm looking forward to that. Can't remember where, but yeah, somewhere on the West Coast. So that'll be fun.
Roger, keeping busy, with tours and stuff and just recording albums and stuff, it should be lots of work, and a lot of mind work, to know where you are at the certain day and et cetera, et cetera. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you know what? The band, we often talk about that because basically we get paid for traveling, sitting in trains, sitting in cars, sitting in planes. But that hour and a half each night where you get in front of an audience, it's worth it. I mean, I love playing. I'll give you an example. We just did, a couple of months back, we did a show in El Dorado, Arkansas. It's not El Dorado, it's El Dorado. There are these things all around the place where we were playing. And the audience were fantastic. And we put, that was the first time we put three of the new songs in the set. And the audience was fantastic. And after we finished playing, we were backstage and Scott and I were having a glass of wine, which is our adult beverage of choice.
okay.
And Scott said to me, he said, isn't this great, Roger? He said, what other job could you have when you finish working and people stand up and start clapping and cheering?
Yeah, when you think of it like that, it is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's like, so you know what? We all know how fortunate we are to, be doing this, and it's careful what you wish for.
It's been going on for such a long time now, Foghat, and still seems to be, just going as strong as ever. It's been a little while since a new album, but it's just you keep on doing albums, and that's amazing. And finally, you make it on #1 for the blues chart. So that's great.
Yeah. Our fans are pretty fantastic. I mean, over the years, we've lost 3/4 of the band. It's like, after Lonesome Dave died, it was at 22 years ago or something like that. Yeah. It was a little rough. I sort of took a couple of months off and tried to think about what I wanted to do. And I got a number of like cassettes and stuff from other singers and stuff, and I didn't really hear anything I liked, but I remembered seeing Humble Pie, and Charlie Hune was singing, taking the place of Stevie Marriott. And Dave was still alive, actually, when we saw him. And Dave and I were on the side of the stage, and we said, let's see what this guy's got under his fingernails, and singing our mate Stevie Marriott's tunes, because we did lots of tours with Humble Pie. And Stevie and especially myself and Dave got real close. He was a crazy motherfucker. I loved him. And anyway, our road manager got in touch with Charlie Hune, and Charlie came here to my house. Actually, I sent him 30 songs, and he called me up a couple of months later and said, got it. And Charlie joined the band, and he was a terrific singer. He sang with Ted Nugent for a while, Victory, Humble Pie. So that worked for a while. And we were down in Florida. We were about to start rehearsals and writing some songs for, we do it, just writing and rehearsing because we've been off the road for about a month. And Scott was down in the studio writing some songs with me. And 3 days before we were supposed to have rehearsals, Charlie sent our manager an email saying that he was retiring and he wouldn't be at rehearsals, which was, I guess, it's kind of strange. I haven't spoken to him since. He hasn't called me or anybody else in the band, which is kind of strange. I thought we all got on rather well, but I think in retrospect, I don't think anybody's happy about retiring unless, and I think the reason he retired is because he couldn't do it anymore. The songs, singing in a rock and roll band and like sort of songs that Foghat's recorded over the years. You have to sing full bore. I have to play like I'm a rock and roll drummer. You have to stay healthy and physically you have to be able to do it. And so I'm hoping he's okay. I haven't heard from him, but Scott Holt was down there. And like I said, we were working on some material, and instead of starting rehearsals in 3 days, I looked to Scott and I said, I think we better start learning some Foghat songs. And I'd known Scott since maybe 2014, 2015. I met him, and we've written a number of songs over the years, a lot of music. We had put a band together called Earl and the Agitators for a while. Actually played some shows in Canada with it. It was so Earl and the Agitators are now Foghat, and I'm having a great time doing this. I think this new album I'm really, really happy with.
When you wake up in the morning and you know that it's still, I can't believe it. It is probably one of the best blues albums there is in 2023, 2022. And maybe this after 2020, there's nothing that touches it. Very good.
Scott Holt is a fantastic. He's got a fantastic voice, brilliant songwriter as well. I think right from the very first time I met him, he came down to the studio because we were short about 2 or 3 songs for our previous album, Under the Influence, previous studio album, and a photographer friend of ours recommended Scott as a great writer and singer and a guitar player. He played with Buddy Guy for 10 years. So, the guy's got some chops. And instead of writing 3 songs for the album, we wrote 17. And Scott actually sang on 3 or 4 of the songs on that album. Kim Simmons also played on that album, and we finished all the other songs off, and we had a side project that Bryan Bassett proclaimed Earl and the Agitators. So it was basically what Foghat is now. So I guess I was real fortunate actually to have finding great singers that can sing the blues and rock and roll to the standard that Foghat needs. I think there's few and far between, and an incredible guitarist. I mean, he learned all his chops from Buddy Guy, so he can play.
Let's say you're going to play live at a concert nowadays, and you got lots of shows lined up for 2024 from what I've seen already. That's incredible too. What's the audience type we get now? Is it all ages basically? Because you've influenced people with Guitar Hero, the game, and with Slow Ride, of course. And I'm sure it's changed. That the audience is different.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you mentioned Guitar Hero. I remember when that first came out, we had these 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds with their plastic guitars coming to shows wanting us to sign them. That was that was great actually. I've also been in, the soundtrack of a number of films, car commercials, hamburger commercials. That's like it's like free advertising,
Right.
and and Guitar Hero reached a much younger audience, and yeah, we have a mixture actually, but we have a lot of young people coming to our shows. Teens, 20s, and 30s. They all have stories, or a lot of them have stories, like saying where they first heard Foghat. A lot of it is their parents and or older siblings turned people onto Foghat. Um, yeah, it is pretty fantastic that the band's still able to play it, especially after losing three of our key members. But thing is, it's all about the music and the attitude that a band has. Bryan Bassett, our leading side player, actually worked and played with Lonesome Dave and Rob Price in the same band, and so he had first-hand experience of it. Scott, of course, never did, but when he joined the band, he had a crash course of. He was already familiar with a number of songs, but he had a crash course in Foghat. It's all about the music. That's the reason I carry on playing, because I love playing. I love being creative. I mean, being a drummer, when I first started playing, for me, it was always all about playing in a band. It's fun bashing on stuff and crashing on things and kicking stuff, but playing in a band is the real joy, when you're playing with other musicians and making music. That was the reason I grew up listening to like Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard. Then I found Muddy Waters and John Lee Hooker, and music has always been in my life. I mean, in my house where I grew up in Southwest London, there was always music. My parents played music all the time. My father played piano, and mum and dad sang. They came from the East End of London, so there was any excuse to have a party or have people over and play some music. It was always in our house. So my older brother played piano in Mama Go Jerry in the summertime. That was a big hit over here in North America, but they had like 7 or 8 hits in Europe and elsewhere. I'm going to roll till I'm old and rock till I drop.
Mm. It's like that when you're younger. Let's say you probably had a amazing record collection or something to go into the blues and rock eras.
Yeah, I had I had an older brother. Colin, he was 4 years older than me, so he would buy stuff from the Sun record, early Elvis Presley, his early records on the Sun label. What a great band Elvis had. That music was just like magic. Jerry Lee Lewis. My dad took me to see Jerry Lee Lewis when I was 12 years old. I was never the same after that.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, never the same. And I was a huge Johnny Cash fan. My brother turned me on to him. I was the only kid in Southwest London riding my bike to school when I was 12 or 13, singing Johnny Cash songs. There was always this rhythm. Even he didn't have a drummer in his first band. It was just 2 guitars and bass. But there was always stories. There was always a rhythm to his songs, and there was always stories. I didn't always understand them when I was a kid. It was like, she loves you, Big River, more than me. What does that mean? Katie too, I still miss old Katie too. Katie too, I still think about Kate. Yeah, Johnny Cash. I never got to see him, but I've got all his records. And as my last birthday, I got a new record player, and Scott Holt has a record store in Columbia, Tennessee, with a partner of his, and he gave me a Best of Johnny Cash double album. So, ooh, I'll play Johnny Cash.
Oh.
He was great. I loved him.
Roger, do you have all the Foghat records also?
Oh yeah, Yeah,
Okay, just
and
make
we've
making
got all
sure.
those, and some that weren't released too.
Oh,
There's about a year ago, Warner Brothers sent some tapes to us, but actually they put the tapes on CD from 1973. We played the Warehouse in New Orleans for 2 nights, and it was recorded. It wasn't recorded. It was recorded on a 2-track. It was mixed down. Um, there was some serious youthful enthusiasm on this record, and
okay.
they asked me to pick um, the best of it. So, well, because it was already mixed down. Sometimes the bass is a bit loud, drums a bit loud. You couldn't quite hear Rod Price's guitar as well as one would like, and there was that youthful enthusiasm. I mean, New Orleans is like that. But I picked, in fact, just 2 days ago, I got 4 acetates that they sent for me to listen to them on my record player. I haven't had a chance to do it, but 1973, the band was, and there was a bunch of songs on there that I don't even remember playing, like Jam In and songs that Foghat never recorded, but they want to put it out. So I picked the best, I think, of the recordings. But I think stuff like that's important. There's obviously some faults in the actual sound of the record because it's just a live performance. I'm not exactly sure what they recorded it on, but I enjoyed listening to it because it took me back uh, to the Warehouse in New Orleans, which was an incredible venue to play in. We played there many times after that.
Mhm.
Actually, they closed it down in '74. But yeah, I mean, Foghat was always a live band anyway. The way we record, we make records. It's eventually it's the four of us in the room together, recording it. Sometimes it's just three because Bryan has to work the controls and press the button. But sometimes we just let the machine run and we go. It's in a house down in DeLand, Florida. So I think if you're going to make music, it's imperative that you have somewhere to record. And things are a bit easier now. You don't have to spend $2 million on a Neve board and have this huge. We record in our living room. It's like we set up, we just play. It's very, that's the term, organic, I guess.
And comfortable.
We're just playing, and you can hear everything. You can hear each other, and you've got some bleed into the various microphones. We sometimes re-record the voice, but actually, already half these songs, Scott's in the room, and it's the original vocal. So it works for us. I don't think it worked for everybody or every band, but the way we play, blues, rock and roll, it's it works and it's fun. I have a blast making music.
Roger, really appreciate you taking the time talking about Sonic Mojo and all this extra stuff we talked about. It's amazing always to talk to you. This is like maybe our second or third interview. We did some phone interviews back in the day.
Right, I recognize the name, and in fact, Linda, our manager, said, "You know him," and I said, "Oh, good." It's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for the comments about the record. Yeah, it's I'm kind of like over the moon about the fact that like number one. We've never been number one on anything. I mean, we've had lots of hit records and gold records and platinums and all that stuff over the years, and our fans have been fantastic. But yeah, it's
In 2023, you get to be number one.
yeah. All right. Hey, Jason, it's a pleasure talking to you again. Thank you.
All right. You have a good night.
I have done. Thank you. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Good night.